No, it's like, I want to make sure my phone dies. Ouch.
Oh, awesome. All right, welcome everybody. Again, I want to give another clarification. There is no Perl code. So if you're here or you're watching, hoping to see some really cool Perl code, it ain't going to happen. So, but we are going to talk about how to engage the foundation, how to plan workshops, how to plan conferences. Maybe. All right, so for all you who don't know me, I'm Candybar. I'm Heath Bair. I am the chairman of the conferences committee for the Perl Foundation. So you've got a workshop, you got a conference in North America, it kind of gets funneled up through my committee. If you need to get a hold of me, it's, there's my email. All right, so my organization is responsible for helping people kind of plan their workshops in the conference, like YAPC. That support the Perl Foundation. The foundation can also help underwrite your contracts. You don't have to use us. We'll go over that here in a second, but we can help. All right, here we go. Do you really need to engage the foundation? Absolutely not. Right? So you can do your own workshop. You can have your own workshop at work. You can do whatever you'd like. But if you need help fundraising, if you need help with sponsorship, if you need help with contracts, you need help with insurance, right? The foundation is there to help. So no, you don't need me or anybody else. Okay, so we try to make sure our insurance is listed on every state that we have YAPC in, and the next YAPCs that are coming, we try to make sure our insurance is up to date. So we cover the insurance for your venue. Most venues like this will require proof of insurance, right? Also with your budget, we will help you kind of determine what your budget is, help you plan some things out. We also offer bootstrapping. So if you have a little workshop, first time through, you have a good clean budget, you're looking at a couple of $1,000, whatever that you need, your budget looks good, like you're going to be able to cover your costs, we can help. Is that about right? Yeah, cool. Okay, so you want to start, you want to have your own workshop, right? So how do you start? So you need a team of people. You need a reason to have your workshop. Right? And you guys just need to be awesome. Right? Okay, so your team. Your Perlmonger group, your friends, your family, your co-workers, right? And be excited about it. Tell them how awesome it would be. Okay, and I like this last line, right? So you're the one that came up with the idea to run the workshop, so that means you are in charge. So you just got to deal with it. Okay, so what's your plan? Why are you going to have the workshop, right? What is your vision? So let's say I want to run a hardware hackathon or a hardware workshop, right? So that's my vision. Who am I going to engage, right? Are there local companies I can get with? Are there electronic stores I can get with? How am I going to draw the community in? Is there a other local groups, your local Linux user group? Who can you engage? Right, and then there you go, the last one. Do you really know what you're doing? Do you really want to have a bioinformatic workshop, but you have no idea what it is? Do you really want to do that? Now let's see what else is good on here. Yeah, your budget, you're going to need to know how much it's going to cost, and what do you actually want to teach people? So those are all good things. All right, so money. How are you going to get the money? Is it going to be free? Right? So some people say, you know what, I'm going to do a free workshop. I'm going to get some local speakers. We're going to talk about some really cool things. We're not going to have food. We're not going to have coffee. We're just going to get together and hang out. Great. You don't need TPF. You don't need anything. Don't worry about it. If you do need some money, are you going to collect it locally? Maybe your Perlmonger group has dues that you pay into. I don't know. So maybe you could use some local money, or if you need TPF to sponsor you, we can be there to sponsor you. But, right? here. If TPF, can you read my fine print here? If TPF manages your money, TPF keeps the unspent funds, all right, and puts them towards your workshop, again, if you're going to have it again, or other workshops. But it's up to the discretion of the foundation. All right, so I'm going to kind of pause here for a second. I wanted this talk to be kind of interactive, which is why the mic is on. So, anybody so far have any questions? I've blown through a few slides. I'm trying not to go too fast. I have some more slides, but I've got booked an hour, so we have time. Does anybody have any questions so far? Is it all pretty clear so far? All right, cool. All right.
Actually, Heath,
yeah.
I mean, I've had this stupid idea of having a workshop.
Great. What city?
Lafayette, Indiana.
Awesome. Okay, cool.
And then started out, okay, scientific Perl workshop, right?
Okay,
But
yeah.
I was thinking about maybe expand this scientific Perl type programming, right?
Yep.
Would TPF still be interested in that, or maybe if I asked TPF to?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
You ask Gene Hack to come over and speak? Is he going to be your keynote? I mean, that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Joel Berger. If I was going to do that's like Joel Berger.
Okay, yeah.
Because he didn't talk about
yeah.
Brazil. So.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Any other questions about it? Or we can talk later if you want. You bring it up, yeah? Okay. So I wanted to, this is a kind of a new slide. So YAPC of years past was a little rougher on Perlmonger groups. YAPCs were known to kill Perlmonger groups. Right, so, hey, you want to run a YAPC? Great, oh, a year and a half from now you're dead, right? So we're trying to change it up a little bit, right? So TPF is trying to take over some of the sponsorship stuff. We're going to go over that here in a second. Go over what the prospectus is. We'll go over that, all right, and we'll also go over why it's important. All right, so here we go. All right, so for those playing at home, we passed out this really cool envelope of stuff, right, that you all have, or should have a copy of it. All right, so why the prospectus? Did you not get a copy this morning? Okay, well, find me later. I'll get you one of these, all right? So this is a marketing tool meant for your boss, your boss's boss, people in the company to realize that Perl is not dead, how they can help, right? Where the foundation fits into the whole life cycle, right? It has our little brochure, or what's going on. We have some information about some outreach programs, and then the most important one, the call to action sheet. So this basically explains how any donation made to the foundation, how it can and would be spent. Oh, there you go. Cool. Thank you. So a few more walked in the room here. So if anybody needs a copy, they're over there. So I hope that people have at least gotten a chance to look at this. Truthfully, this prospectus, you guys can look at it and get excited about it. This is not for you. This is for you to take and give to your boss, or I've run into some people today, they're like, yeah, you know what, I'm the boss, I really don't need one. I'm like, okay, well, take one, give it to your brother, your uncle, your aunt, your mom, your dad, give it to somebody else that you know, and that might be in IT, and let them pass it on, right? So that's what this is for, is our outreach. So does anybody have any questions about this awesome packet that the foundation put together? Okay, cool. Okay, slide's a little bit funny. All right, when you engage us and you want to work on a workshop conference, we want to see your plan. What's your budget? Are you going to bring in some wrapper and drop $500,000? Right? Are you going to run the whole thing on 10 grand? What's your budget? What's your plan? What venue are you going to use? The venue that you're going to use good and give you rooms for free as long as you book hotel rooms, which is kind of what we did here. Right, so what's your plan? What's your budget? What do your numbers look like? If your workshop numbers look good and we like it, then we can help you get some sponsors or find some money. All right, so this is, so you have a city. The city's awesome. The city's great. You really want it there, right? You need to find, usually you need to find an inn. Do you have an open source club in a university that you can talk to? Yeah, how are the network services? Yeah, kind of iffy, right? There's some people that have run workshops in YAPCs that will actually go a week ahead of time and will sit in the area and check the Wi-Fi, do some uploads and downloads, see how things work. All right, so there's the insurance thing again. I should probably scratch that line. I think really if you need insurance, then you need to go through TPF. I mean, I guess you could buy your own, but I don't know, it seems like a waste of time to try to file for your own insurance, but I guess it's your call.
What's the insurance company?
Accidentals. So I'm up here speaking and my mic goes crazy and electrocutes me, right? So the hotel doesn't want to be sued. Mm-hmm.
Do universities charge a lot less than other venues?
All right, so for those playing at home, do universities charge less than other, like, I don't know, public facilities? So if you don't have anything to do with the university, you have no inn at the university, right? The university is going to charge you vastly more than a commercial institution. Yes. If you do have an inn, if you do have friends, if you
know the dean, it can be free.
Yes.
So why they charge everybody else a lot of money. Or a Linux.
Yes.
Usually you're forced to use their
amenities. Yes, correct. Yes.
You have to buy pizza from them. You can't outside.
Okay. Gotta have Coke instead of pizza. No. It has to come from.
Right, sure. Just like this facility here, we have to use their catering, part of the contract. Yes. Yeah.
Do you have, you were talking about previously about budgets and stuff.
Yes.
Examples from previous workshops?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes, we have, yeah, you want PDFs, we got Excel, whatever. I think you'll have to drop us an email for us that. I don't know if we put them online anywhere. Yeah.
From my understanding, not only do you have some of the work products like PDFs and Excel, but there's also a guide that's been put together by past conference organizers, right?
Yes, yeah. We have a whole Google folder full of stuff, including I think there's a 10-year-old pod out there somewhere that somebody wrote about how to write a YAPC back in like early 2000. So yeah, that's all out there. Oh yeah, there's a good one right there. Will your rooms be rented after hours? We've been dinged with that a few times. You know, we plan a bad movie night, we're all excited about it, and then come to find out we have to be out by 6. Right, so yeah, just got to be careful. All right, there we go. Somebody mentioned this. So here, snacks and food, right? So are you going to provide food? How are you going to deal with dietary restrictions? What are you going to do with all your leftover food? Like the DC Perl Monger workshop that I was just at, right? We ended up with a whole lot of food left over, right? So what are you going to do with it? Are you just going to send it home with people? Are you going to find a homeless shelter to donate it to? Who's going to take the food? When do you need to know the final food count, and can you bring food into a location? So if you're dealing with a venue like a hotel, normally 9 times out of 10 you have to use their food services. Unless they're really cool about it, they want you to use their services. Final food count is going to be on the contract that you sign with your venue. It's usually like 10 to 14 days prior that they're going to want to know how many people are going to be eating food. So you have to be on top of your registration. You have to set your early bird prices far enough out that you're going to get people excited, and you have to set a deadline. So I mean, you have all these timelines that you have to meet for all your contracts. Yep.
And with those numbers, there's a little fudge factor, like plus or minus 10%. So you can use some statistics to reduce your numbers. So you get fed just a little less, but everybody gets food.
Yeah.
I mean, if you talk about like a meal, it might be $15 a seat or something like that.
So do you always have to worry about leftover food, or well, like if you use the catering from the
Okay, if you use the hotel's catering, they'll take care of all the extra leftover food. All the they take care of everything. You don't have to worry about it. If you run out to your local grocery store, your wholesale club, and you're buying cases of food, then you're going to have to deal with it.
Sometimes even when you're using catering, you have to just talk to them about leftover food. So an example of that would be, suppose you buy 3 cases of Coke, Coca-Cola, to what comfort food? And win it? No. Suppose you buy 3 cases of soda, and there's a case and a half left when the conference is over. Just because you pay for it doesn't mean they're necessarily going to let you take it with you.
Yes,
So
right.
you have to talk to them and be clear about what the agreement is with the leftovers when you're done. A lot of places, they won't let you take the leftovers.
Yep. So it's all in your contract. You just have to understand your contract, and you better read it. Yep.
You guys got lawyers. Like I say, it's part of that too. The TPF is lawyers. I mean, there's insurance, but it's like lawyers when I say, hey, look at this contract.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yep.
is that,
We have lawyer services for evaluating contracts. Is it?
We typically do not involve the attorneys for evaluating venue contracts.
Okay.
Unless there's a specific reason.
okay.
But what we will do is, send it to a bunch of people and have everybody, read it over. And
Right. Previous organized, like, that's just stupid.
All right, so for everybody following at home, I keep throwing it over to Dan, our treasurer, who's probably off camera. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up. All right.
I got another.
Yeah.
While we're on the topic of food, this may sound like a silly question, but it's kind of important to me. If we have to go with like a caterer at a hotel, can we supplement anything such as coffee? Because I think the
No.
coffee can be often terrible.
Yep.
So
No.
can't even.
No.
Okay.
Yes. Well, you can do. There are coffee upgrades I found, but did you guys actually bring in coffee, Dan?
Okay, so we negotiated with a couple hotels for the Pittsburgh Perl Workshop, and for us, coffee's always a deal breaker. And so
We have a tradition.
we do. But typically what will happen is you have to be really careful about coffee because we negotiated with one hotel that said, oh yeah, we will give you fresh coffee. And what they meant is fresh brewed coffee, not fresh ground coffee.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can get away with saying, okay, this is really important to us. We want the coffee from this place or something like that. And they won't let you bring it in, but for an extra fee, they'll go pick it up and use the coffee that you want.
Because I think that's what Mark did for the tomorrow's game nights in terms of the specific distributor or beer he wanted, but I think they handed it off to the hotel to make it kosher, right?
Yep.
Because
Yep.
they can't handle it directly.
There we go. So a couple of extra things, right? So plan morning coffee. Pearl people love coffee more than breakfast. 9 times out of 10. They really like breakfast too, though. Also plan to have a soda water break. People usually have 2 drinks each. So you have 50 people. Make sure you buy 100 things to drink. Right? Is it a gallon? So usually buy coffee in gallons. And is there was it 10 people per gallon? I think it's 10 per gallon roughly.
I'm not sure. If anybody's interested, we have an entire coffee guide. we published as a Google Doc. It explains the art of
Coffee.
This is important.
Yes.
Pretty good PPW. It's
More than Wi-Fi.
All right, so your pricing, right? So, okay, so set your pricing to cover your costs. Try to break even. Please, try to break even. We're not here to get rich. We're here to make Perl awesome. We're here to make people excited about Perl. So try to figure out what your costs are going to be, then charge accordingly to cover your cost. Are you going to have early bird rates to try to get people excited? Like YAPC this year, we had early bird and we had a regular. So do you set an early bird rate to try to get people purchased early so you can set your contracts? And then expect the unexpected. Venues like to ding you with all sorts of things that you'd never expect. So be careful, be wary, plan for 10 to 20% overspend. So sometimes they'll charge you for Wi-Fi, sometimes they'll charge you for cables, right? So you got to be careful. All right, recruiting your speakers. All right, what's your workshop or conference going to be about? Yeah, so he was mentioning, you know what, he wants to have a scientific one, right? So you probably need scientific speakers, right? Here's the one that I really like. Who's your draw? All right, if you're going to have an awesome workshop, then get one person that would be just awesome. And you work on them as hard as you can, and you get them to come in so you could draw people in from the community. Right? Last ditch effort, log into the IRC channel and say, help me, come talk at my workshop.
Probably not. Or rope them in as you in the taxi to the thing.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so once you get your registration open, announce it on IRC, announce it on Perl.org, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, local websites, local newspapers. Great idea. Announce, announce, announce. So I wish we would have followed this slide a little better, but there you go. Hit all of your major news outlets if you can. I actually like the local newspaper. We've done that a few times. We've had some good success with like your local underground newspaper, things like that. They usually won't charge you too much for an ad. So.
JT said
They usually charge you too much?
Yeah, sometimes.
It very well be true.
All right. Be awesome. So you betcha. She's going to be speaking right in about an hour from now. So yes, just try to be awesome. But don't panic. All right, so this next slide's pretty awesome. All right, so y'all have probably seen this slide before. I've shown this a couple of times. Okay, so this is a graph of registration versus time up to your workshop or conference. This was YAPC in Austin, right? So here, down here, we're stressing, you know, nobody's coming, nobody's going to be here. We're trying to sign contracts, nothing, and all of a sudden this early bird ended, okay? All right, so we get a whole bunch of people. So, you know, we're moving along, and then down here, I think that was like blocks of registrations that companies were buying and things that came in at the very end, and then you're done, right? So realize that like 40% of the time left until your workshop is when everybody registers. So you will stress out. I think that's a pretty cool graph. Not yet. All right, so this is a couple of new slides. I've never presented these. These are pretty great. Okay. I wanted to come up with a great workshop idea. So here's where Portland's coming in. Right? You ready, guys? All right. Okay. Coffee PW. All right? There are a few people that are going to be in Portland the 20th through the 24th of July for OSCON. Okay? Some of these people have already mentioned to me that they would love to talk for free at a workshop. Okay? Why haven't we ever, as a community, reached out to OSCON-ish people and tried to get a workshop in the same city that they're going to be at because they live halfway around the world? Like Pierce, Damien, Paul. Paul's at OS Bridge. That's okay. All right, so OSCON is the 20th through the 24th of July. Okay, well, you know, why not Saturday the 25th? So I emailed Damien. I said, hey, Damien, what are you doing the 25th of July? He's like, oh, you know, nothing. I'm probably just going to hang around Portland. I'm flying out the week after. I'm like, how would you like to come give a free talk at a workshop? He said, great. All right. So I reached out to Damien. How did I reach out to Damien? I emailed him. Okay, y'all have the access to these people, these great speakers that are more than welcome to talk to you about Perl and to help you out, right? Why would Damien possibly come to a workshop and talk about Perl? All right, because it's Perl. All right. Why would I want Damien? All right, so it's like, why wouldn't I? Right? Okay, so why not? Okay, so why coffee? Well, it's Portland. Okay, why else coffee? Because Brew Pony's there, right? So Jonathan Lito's and his clan are all out there. So why aren't they even considering this? Has anybody ever approached them and said, okay, dude, coffee PM, you know, day after OSCON, why aren't we doing it? So right there is a great example of how if you just look at what's going on in the community, look at what's going on in IT, you can plan workshops. Okay, well, how much? Well, you know what? Damien, Paul, and Pierce both said, you know what, I'd come in for free, you know? I just come give a little talk. And if you think about it, you get Damien, you probably are going to be hooking 25 to 50 people easy to come to your workshop. Right? So if you're going to charge for food, maybe you charge 25 bucks a person to come to this one-day workshop talk about Perl. Maybe you don't charge anything and you just say to TPF, you know what, guys? We're just trying to get into the community to get them excited about Perl. Can you eat 500 bucks? Okay? I think that people don't because they're afraid of OSCON. Okay, well, you know what? O'Reilly Perl conference ended 15 years ago, and they really don't do Perl anymore, so why do we care? You know, why? We have great Perl people there. Why aren't we putting together a workshop around OSCON? Okay, so I'm on to my next slide, but I wanted to throw out one more thing. I'm not planning it. I threw out some ideas. I got some context. I found out that Free Geek has a facility that we could use, but I'm looking for help. If anybody out there is in the Portland, Seattle, whatever area that wants to do this, wants to get a hold of Jonathan, you are more than welcome to do it. You have less than 30 days. Well, you have around 30 days. Okay, so I'm just saying if anybody out there really wants to do this, it might be pretty fun. Okay, any questions? Give me pause. Everybody's okay? All right, well, what about a YAPC?
So,
yeah.
That Portland thing, I mean, you know, that's really a big ask for 30 days. It's a great example for the talk. But,
yes. What about a year plus 30 days?
Yeah, right. That's a different thing, right? Because OS Bridge is also going on.
Right.
Well, now, right?
Right now, starting tomorrow, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So OS Bridge is a Portland conference, somewhat like YAPC in that it's community organized,
right?
Not a big corporate one like OSCon is.
Right.
But I expect that anyone out there who would be willing to help is already working on OSCon.
Sure.
Or
yeah.
OS Bridge.
Yes.
Or OSCon.
Right.
And we'll probably either be burnt out or too busy to help
Sure.
this year.
This is, I'm just throwing you this. It's a great example of there are resources available to us that we would normally. We try really hard to get Damien to come to YAPC, but it costs a lot. But he's going to be in OSCON. Why not utilize it?
Right.
Yeah. So.
We were thinking of running a YAPC in the Sacramento area.
Great. Let's do it.
There's nothing out there.
Okay. Well, yeah, there better be some extra services.
No, there's tons of extra
Okay.
services. But it's like there's never been a YAPC kind of thing out there.
Okay.
There's all kinds of these little incubators all over the place.
Right.
Where people are learning different programming languages,
Okay.
building stuff. All kinds of
So
things.
I highly recommend anybody that wants to run a YAPC, they try running a Perl workshop first.
Okay.
Right? Get your feet wet, right? Because you think you know what you think you can actually handle running a YAPC, you will learn. It is rough. It is, yes, some of the hardest few months of your life. Correct, yes.
Own yourself now.
Really get sleep deprivation.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's go over a few things about how you can actually run a YAPC. All right, so you need to plan for 400 to 500 people. All right, so I think we're about 300 or so this time around, but last year we were over 400. So you got to plan for 400 to 500 people. You will be spending over $100,000. Correct. Hopefully with attendance, purchases, sponsorship, right? We've been doing very well at getting the money back. But plan to spend $100,000, right? Plan for the 80-20 rule. 80,000 sponsorship, 20,000 registration. This year our registration was much higher than that, but that's a good 80-20 rule. All right, so we're changing things up a little bit again. We used to do a call for bid, where your Perlmonger group would sit down, you would write down, hey, I wanted in this city, this is my budget, here's what I want to do, yada, 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 and you would submit this 4 to 5 page document about your plan, your bid, your location, and everything. Doesn't work so well anymore. So we're changing things. We're actually now starting to stack locations up. We want to have the next 5 to 7 years of locations in a list. We're going to start maybe putting out some calls. All right, we'll maybe put out some, was it ROR? No, what was the local calls for local businesses to put in bids? Do you remember what those? No, I don't know. So we're thinking about going to each of the cities and asking the Better Business Bureau of those cities to put out a call for us, looking for facilities. Okay. Have you ever thought YAPC Vegas would be cool? No? How about YAPC New York? Maybe. There's a lot of industry. I think YAPC New York would be awesome. Okay? So we're now doing calls for locations, looking for cities where we could go and make a big mark for Perl.
How is that different from before? Is there still Perlmonger's group in charge?
Correct.
It's just not necessarily in the city.
So what was it? YAPC Asheville was run by a virtual Perlmonger group that they wanted to go to Asheville, so they put out a call for location to a couple of vendors in Asheville. They got a good bid and we went there. But it was still a Perlmonger group that was responsible for it.
Okay.
Yes. All right, so here's kind of what we're switching up. So we're moving away from the local PM group that's responsible for everything to TPF is going to be putting out all the bids. So we get a city, TPF will be working on getting bids, heavy lifting all the contracts, right, signing all the paperwork. We're going to be working on a 5 to 7 year plan of all the awesome cities, right? So some of the awesome cities that we've been talking about, well, say Portland, LA, DC, New York, and Milwaukee. Some of the some cities that we've been talking about. Boston. There you go. Yeah. All right.
Denver.
Then you think Denver? You think it would work okay?
Maybe like Colorado Springs. I mean.
Yeah, Colorado Springs would be pretty cool.
There's a couple. I mean, you could go, there's a couple of cities in Denver. I mean.
Yeah.
There's a couple of the NPM.
Yeah. Well. Okay, we've been to Toronto. It was fun. I guess we could go back. We went to Chicago a few times, so yeah, we could go back to Toronto.
Flagstaff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Davis?
Yeah, maybe.
This is really pretty.
So we're looking for cities that have good IT communities and very poor Perlmonger groups. Okay? Because we want to energize the Perl. We don't want to walk into a great Perlmonger group and kill them. We'd much rather go in and try to energize the Perl community. Yes.
Or kill. Right?
Exactly.
Seems to be on and off again.
What's that?
Buffalo seems to be on and off
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
As far as,
So that's kind of what we're doing. So there have been a lot of questions this year. You know, why wasn't there a call for bid that was put out a few months ago? Well, we're now doing more of a location. So we're basically building the cities, and then we're building the YAPCs around those. So that's kind of the plan that we're shooting it for now. Does anybody have any questions about that plan?
Are you going to have a place where you can try and submit a city? Oh, is that?
Yeah, you're Heath at pearlfoundation.org. Hey, dude, man, my city would be awesome, blah, blah, blah. Here's why. We have great IT people. Send it. And we'll pass it on. Okay? Okay, so getting back to YAPC. Yes, you can plan YAPCs, right? It is hard. There are lots of us around that have planned and ran YAPCs. I ran YAPC in Columbus. Dan ran 2 YAPCs, right? Yeah, you did 1 YAPC in Pittsburgh, right? So all of this on my committee, we've run YAPCs, we have experience with YAPCs, so we're around to help. It is very worthwhile, and you will remember it. Yes. All right, so we do need new ideas. We do need new people. We do need other concepts, right? So we really want people to say, hey, I'm going to do a YAPC, and they submit it, whatever. So we need people to help. Okay, so to conclude, all right, running a workshop can be done. It's very rewarding for you and for your attendees. But just remember, all right, okay, oh God, it's going to be awesome. Okay, so email me, find me, talk to me, right? So there's some ideas we've talked about with some workshops, with some YAPCs, some conference stuff. Find me. Anybody want to talk about any of it? I know that you mentioned yours. Does anybody want to talk about their city, talk about what you could do? So my slides are over, and we now have 25 minutes left. So I was trying to hit 40 minutes. I did 35 minutes. So
10%, you're good.
I'm okay. Anybody want to talk about locations? Want to talk about things? Yeah.
So for those of us who don't really do this all the time, what are some of the surprises that we don't know about that you're expected to provide at a conference?
All right, so let's go over what a template of a conference should look like. There are there are people that expect certain things from now on, right? So an arrival dinner would be nice. This year there wasn't such a arrival dinner, but maybe we should be saying, you know what, every conference needs to have some type of an arrival dinner. People are expecting breakfasts and coffee. Gotchas, though, I always go back to.
I was thinking more in terms of equipment type stuff.
Okay. Well, what do you want to do? Like this, they're live broadcasting. Is that what you want to do? Do you want to just say, you know what, we're not going to live broadcast anything, we're not going to record anything, we're not going to worry about it. Just going to be laptop, projector, screen, done. Right? So you have to decide what's the technology that you want to use at your conference. Yeah, you're always going to run in with gotchas with IT. There's always ghosts, right? So things fail, things don't work.
Yeah, because Chris talked about it, his first OPW, how expensive the hotel wanted to charge him for projectors. So screw that, I'm going to buy my own. And now he has projectors.
Yep.
To use for conferences, because it's significantly cheaper to do that than to rent the hotel AV. Which I thought was like, that's surprising, but.
Yeah, and for YAPC in Columbus, we bought 3 digital camcorders and the tripods and everything. And we had USB external drives we were dumping out to every time we had a break. So those cameras are still floating around. So if you actually want to run a workshop, we have hardware that we can ship to you. So, does that kind of answer your question? Yeah?
For that aspect, but I'm wondering about the things I don't know about that I'm not seeing that are behind the scenes kind of things. I guess some venues, their Wi-Fi just isn't up to snuff.
Right.
Bring in your own
Wi-Fi, power. I'll tell you like the T-shirt, like the distribution. Yeah, you get food for pop for 50 people. What's the distribution in terms of what you buy of each?
So you're always going to have people that are going to complain about T-shirts. You'll have women that'll complain that there's no female T-shirts. So you're going to have to figure out, okay, well, how many female T-shirts you have to buy. Do you use ACT? I mean, by all means, use ACT for your conference planning and stuff. There's a T-shirt engine in there where people can pick the sizes that they want, but you better order exactly, and you better know who gets what, because people will take T-shirts from you, and then you have people that are pissed off. So, other gotchas, basically, it's all the little fine nitty-gritty stuff. You know, the food charges, Wi-Fi charges, laying out power, run into the store to buy power if you have to, buy cables. I don't know, Dan, do you have any gotchas that you could think of for PPW?
Well, I think in general, you know, Mark Dominus gives a talk about Perl red flags, okay, where he talks about Perl code, and as soon as he sees something, it's a red flag that there's a problem. And my red flag when I'm dealing with a venue is the word standard. Anytime they tell you that something is standard, They're just making it up because there are no standards.
Like what's an example of something that would say is standard?
The coffee, sure, or
Wi-Fi.
well, internet access is a good example. Oh, it's standard. It works great. We have no problem with that. Or
100 people walk in there.
Yeah. With 4 internet appliances each, yes.
Yeah, yeah, it's like at least 2 sitting right here.
Right.
projectors are another example of something that they might call standard. I had one venue that had a stage with a movie screen up on the stage. Okay, but then I rented the projector and I rented the screen. Well, they brought in a projector and brought in a separate screen and put it up on a wall. And I said, well, okay, can't I just project it up on the screen of the stage? And they said, oh, no, that's not part of the standard. If you want to use the stage with the screen already built in,
that'll cost you. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a business for them. They do whatever they can to make money. So
when you scout your location, anything you think you might want to use,
you better ask. Yes.
Yes.
Don't ever assume anything. Correct. All right. Well, does anybody else have any other questions? We got a little bit of time left. Anybody want to talk about anything else? I know that you had an idea for a workshop. I say go for it. I mean, just try it.
Yeah,
Good.
Yeah. I think your comment about how the conference is changing. It sounds like when you're kind of taking the pumpkin change from destroying pumpkins. When we change it to ring, we change it so now we're not destroying our pumpkins.
Right. So
it's a process now, which is nice.
we actually, if you come with a clean budget, we could say, you know what, we can fund you. Here are the sponsorships for you already. You don't have to go look for the money. You don't have to worry about any of that. Now you can work on your workshop. You can plan it. You can get all excited and run it. You don't have to worry about the funding. You don't have to worry about the contracts. You don't have to worry about the insurance, which would kind of help. Yeah. Hopefully it'll allow people to get more excited about running workshops themselves. Right? That's kind of the hope. Yeah.
Can I ask the people in the room the question of, some of you might sit here and say, boy, I don't really want to run my own workshop because it sounds like it might be a lot of work, but I don't live too far from one that is already happening. Who here would be interested in a phone call to say, hey, you're in the Pittsburgh area and we'd like you to come in for PPW, would you be interested in helping? Not necessarily Pittsburgh, but other kinds of events. Before when a YAPC is going on, the local promo group is a lot of it, but to say, hey, we've got 5 or 6 people that are coming in that are interested in helping, is that something that those that are sitting here?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the problems we've had in Boston is there's a number of us who've been interested in putting on a workshop, and some of us have gone out and checked for vendors, and occasionally we have little spurts of activity on the mailing list, but nobody's ever stepped up and sort of just taken the lead. And so there's a dozen people willing to come in and lend a little bit of a hand. And some people have gone out and done some research and checked with some vendors.
You kind of have to get a mentor.
Yeah, but that's been the hard part. Nobody's been willing to
from when you're not
take the head first lead.
I would turn this around and challenge Perl Foundation and say, what would it cost to have a professional organizer come in and talk to the local people where someone local doesn't have to take lead or take point?
We just need a project manager.
I mean,
right. So
really, that's what it comes down to for us.
yes. So we are evaluating what we can and cannot pay for. We are evaluating if we should do it in-house or do it outside. What we are trying to do, though, is we're trying to say, okay, tell us you're excited about your city, right? Let us put out some calls for some people to find a venue for you. If we can find a good, clean venue that has some good times, right, we can go ahead and work on the contract for you. And your responsibility is find the speakers, get some of the ideas, right? Maybe start working on sponsorship, working on trying to get excitement built in the community. You guys do all the fun stuff. TPF does all the heavy lifting stuff. That's where we're trying to go. Because I think y'all don't want to do any of the conference planning stuff. You just want to have fun, right? Isn't that the general idea? I would want to.
I don't mind doing some of the planning. I just don't want to have to be the person who's tracking all of the details and chasing all of the kittens.
Hire me.
I don't mind doing it.
I think even just having a spreadsheet, and you guys already have that, but would help. Yeah, but we
before somebody wants to step into it, they want to see what they're stepping into.
Yeah, like maybe you can be the leader, but then you have a project manager who's experienced with that, who takes care of all that stuff, but they're, you know, it's a different kind of...
Yeah, in some other organizations I'm with, the most important person in that organization is the secretary. So
Yeah.
keep me on task and on calendar, everything works pretty well. But
Yeah, so someone like that, you know, right-hand person for support, that can do that, but, you know, they don't necessarily want the visibility that
Yeah.
you get nitty, but.
I think something Mark, Chris's brother brought up when he's talking last night is like, it'd be nice, it's like a checklist, right? In terms of a test, like you don't do task B until task A is done first.
Okay.
I mean,
Yep.
I think that's.
I mean, we could come up with a checklist or even a spreadsheet that you start filling in, and it pre-fills other things for you, gives you other ideas. Yep. Yep.
But I think there's a cool thing here that's being missed, and he touched on it very early on in his slides when he was talking about having a vision. And I would encourage you, first of all, running a Perl workshop is far more fun than running a YAPC.
Oh, amen. Yes.
And it's the scale's so much smaller. Because like one of my favorite workshops is, well, I mean, before OPW was the Pros and Perl workshop because it was small. I mean, especially if it's like a single track, you just sit down and just watch talks. You don't have to think about as an attendee, let alone organizer. It's like it just happens.
Yeah.
I would advise you though, if you're looking at building a Perl workshop, don't look at it as making a mini YAPC.
Right.
Okay, it doesn't have to look like YAPC.
Right.
It doesn't have to have tablecloths. It doesn't have to have the things that you get at a YAPC. Make it your own vision. If you guys want to just spend an evening and order pizza and have some talks, do it.
Right.
You know, it doesn't.
There are no rules.
There are
Right.
no rules. Exactly.
Or a Sunday afternoon at a coffee shop where they have a back room.
Yeah.
for those who've done a lot of workshops, is there any significant difference as far as whether you do it on a weekend or a weekday, as far as attendance and success rates? You know, have you seen anything where like a couple of evenings a week works better than necessarily, you know, maybe weekdays? Like, is there anything in the timing there that tends to work better for smaller workshops?
Okay, so if you're going to have people that are going to be traveling in, it probably should be a Saturday. If you're going to try to do local and you're going to do business oriented, a weekday would probably work. So what is your vision? What do you want to do? What do you want people to learn? Who do you want to come? If it's all local guys, do it during the week. Do it in the evening, right? Or bring in a guest speaker that just does one talk at some night during the week, right? So that could be a workshop. It's having one guy come in.
If you're holding it on a weekend, that usually works for a lot of people because they don't work on weekends.
Yep.
However, you're also excluding everybody that observes Shabbos. On the other hand, if you're holding it at a university, most likely the time that they're going to have rooms available for you is on the weekend, especially if it's during the school year.
Yeah.
Halfway through the school year, depends on the university, a lot of community colleges free up rooms for whatever reason. And so I do Linux groups. I
Cool. Yeah.
And so fortunately the dean of the local university likes us, and he has an organization that sponsors us, even though I have nothing whatsoever to do with the university. We have monthly Thursday nights, which there's always a conflict with, right? Somebody always has a conflict. And so we do Saturdays too, and Sundays, and somebody else always has a conflict. So you have to get over the conflict thing. People love freeform. Other people love, let's have a hackathon, come and work on something. And then other people love a presentation. They want to see 3 presentations, and they want it announced in advance so they can plan whether they're going to come or not. And then people always claim that they would have come if they didn't.
Along those lines, when you keep talking about having a vision,
Yes.
one thing I see a lot in the conferences is that they have a theme, but I never really see that theme carried out.
Okay.
Is there a pro or con to using a theme? Does it not make any sense to have a theme? Is it not that useful, or should?
Okay, so
workshops have a theme?
your theme should be a reflection of your audience.
Okay.
Right? So if you're going to have a scientific thing, you're going to have a bunch of scientists there, you're going to be doing science stuff. That's your theme.
Is there really a theme though? I mean,
But see, well,
No, but my idea was like, okay, the idea was like, okay, Perl hasn't really, I mean, we have Perl stuff, but Python's the science language in terms of people think about it. But it's like, but the same token, we have it, but I want to kind of start that and talk about what people do. And since I work at Purdue, I was thinking, oh, maybe I can introduce grad students, say, hey, there's this language Perl that might help you with some of your glue. You may code in C++ or whatever, but Perl might be able to help you. But I was also thinking, well, I also belong to a local open source group that would just talk about anything open source. That's why, oh, maybe let's open up to anything scientific programming. Because just getting people to talk to each other across disciplines has value.
so I guess to add to that, a YAPC really will never have a theme. There's so many people with so many tracks doing so many things. You may have a track theme, but you're not going to have a YAPC conference theme. So sometimes the themes get lost in YAPCs, but in workshops you can.
And yeah, it's a good segue into also the idea of tracks. Is that something that people seem to appreciate, or is a track kind of not really worth the effort?
All right, so this will be the last question because we're going to get cut off. We've had bioinformatic tracks at prior YAPCs that have been very successful. So it's your speakers, it's your attendees. Know your attendees, which is very important. So if you know your attendees and you can plan your tracks properly, you can be very successful. All right? Does that kind of answer your question?
In a vague way. No, that's key though. Know your audience.
Sure, exactly. Know your audience. All right, so if anybody has any more questions, see myself, see Dan, and we can help. All right, so thank you.